There's a lot of memories here, as just telling the Mayor, but it's just great to be here alongside Minister Calandra and my dear friend, Mayor Chow. Before we get started, I want to thank the Mayor and the entire City Council for the great things they're accomplishing together with our government, whether it's signing the New Deal to put Toronto on a stronger financial footing, or launching one fare to save transit users $1,600 every year. And I just have to explain that. Some people aren't too sure what one fare is. So if you live up in Barrie, you can hop on the GO train and then end up at Union Station and then hop on a streetcar or the subway and go to your destination on one fare. So it saves people a tremendous amount of money. We're working together to get things done for the people of Toronto. And thank you for your partnership, Mayor. Today, we're again working together to talk about one of our top priorities, building homes. Here in Toronto and across the province, our population is growing at a record speed. That's why it's never been so important to deliver on our commitment to build at least 1.5 million homes by 2031. That's why last summer we introduced the Building Faster Fund. This new fund is a 3-year, $1.2 billion program that will reward municipalities for reaching or exceeding annual housing targets. And today, I'm pleased to announce that Toronto has knocked it out of the park. Matter of fact, Mayor, that ball's still going. And in 2023, the city broke ground on a total, and these are pretty astonishing numbers, 31,656 new homes, including a mix of ownership, rental, nonprofit, and supportive housing. In total, Toronto exceeded its housing targets by 51%. That's incredible. So today, it's my privilege to present the City of Toronto with a Building Faster Fund check for $114 million. This check, these funds, can be used by the city for infrastructure projects that lay the groundwork for more housing and community development. The city's progress in building homes is just incredible. While we're pleased with this progress, and I know the Mayor will agree with me, there's always more work to be done, and we're going to continue working together and just making this all municipalities and partners right across the province to build more homes at a time when we're leading the largest transit expansion in North America. With more than $70 billion in new investments, we want to build more homes near transit. I know a lot of you have heard of transit-oriented communities, better known as TOCs. That's what we're going to focus on with the Mayor and other regions right across the province. We're identifying surplus government lands where we can quickly build affordable and attainable homes. And we're going to get shovels in the ground faster, starting with the next edition of our Housing Supply Action Plan next month, because it's never been so important to build to make life more affordable for the people across our province and restore the dream of home ownership in the province. Once again, Mayor, congratulations, and to the City of Toronto for exceeding your targets. And thank you all for joining us, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Now I'd like to hand it over to the Mayor.
Thank you, Premier. People in our city are finding it harder than ever to find a home they can afford. The waitlist for affordable housing has ballooned to 85,000 households. Renters and homeowners across the city are a bit anxious. Seniors on fixed incomes, young people looking for the first apartment, families that need enough space for their kids. They are priced out of the housing market. It's so hard to find an affordable place. But Toronto's housing crisis isn't just about numbers. It's about people like Ariana. Ariana and her family escaped the war in Ukraine with just 2 backpacks and 2 suitcases. Now in Toronto, Ariana and her mom take 3 buses to get to the food bank in South Etobicoke. She's one of the 18,000 kids that use Toronto's Daily Bread food bank every month to fill their belly. Ariana isn't a fan of all those buses. They take so long, she said. Ariana and her family used the food bank because, like many kids and the families in Toronto, they need housing that they can afford. And so we're getting to work for Ariana to build more housing faster. Housing gives people hope. When you have an affordable place to live, when you're not paying more than half your income on rent, you can plan for your future. You can put money aside for your family, for your kids' education, for a vacation, for a rainy day. And as mayor, getting housing back on track is my top priority. Last year, I introduced an ambitious housing plan to build 65,000 rental homes. These homes are for people of all different incomes. I've also reduced barriers to get housing built and speeding up approval times. We have removed up to 200 days from the typical process. We removed the need for preliminary reports and set earlier community consultation meetings. Staff providing comments on application files have been reduced to 14 days rather than months or sometimes years. We have specialized teams to approve condo registration, sometimes as quickly as within an hour. Last I heard it was 10 minutes. Toronto has exceeded our provincial housing target by miles. Yes, by 51% of the target. We had 656,000 new housing starts. That's right. New homes are being built for thousands of people right here in Toronto. Today, I am grateful to the Premier for providing $144 million from Building Faster Fund in acknowledging the City of Toronto is exceeding our housing targets. That's on top of what the Premier and the Government of Ontario have done. The New Deal, the one which assisted Toronto tremendously on housing, on shelter, on TTC, and policing, you name it, it was part of the New Deal. Also, on the one fare zone, I'm hearing from TTC riders that it's now so convenient jumping into GO and into TTC, the subway and the streetcars through GO, only paying one time. Of course, while we celebrate this housing success, we all know we need even more housing. And to make sure a good portion of the housing we build is affordable. The Building Faster Fund will help the city build more housing for more people faster, and more people will find Toronto a welcoming place. Toronto is matching the urgency of the housing crisis with the urgency of our actions. We're getting housing back on track. The budget we passed last week invests heavily in delivering new homes. It also includes a historic investment in multi-unit residential acquisition program, preserving much-needed affordable housing. Getting housing back on track will take all levels of government working together, because we know that together we are stronger. Together we can deliver more for the people of Toronto. More housing, better communities, and more hope for the people who live in this great city. Thank you, Premier. Thank you to our Housing Minister.
Great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay.
We'll now go to reporters' questions. If you could please line up behind me. Identify yourselves by name and outlet. And just a reminder, it'll be one question, one follow-up.
Okay.
Premier, it's Mark McAllister from City News.
Hi, Mark.
I'm wondering if you could offer us your reaction. 1 week ago, Mayor Chow alluded to her budget being passed here at City Hall. Obviously, that involved a much-discussed 9.5% property tax increase. You've been very outspoken about tax increases in this province. Just looking for your reaction.
Well, I have a phenomenal relationship with the mayor, and I don't believe in telling any municipality, all 444 of them, what to do. They know their needs, they know their requirements, and have all the confidence in the world. A perfect example is today. You know, when the mayor first got elected, she said, "I'm committed to building homes," and her actions have proved it. They knocked it out of the park, and she's cutting down on the time to get approvals. So when we work together, no one or nothing can stop us around the world, and I'm just very appreciative of the relationship I have with the mayor.
And to Mayor Chow, this money is a significant amount of money, obviously. Could you explain how this money goes into, one, the budget, and two, specifically how it gets put to use?
I can't give you fine details, but I'll guarantee you that 114 million for housing will be put in good use. We're building housing. We're working with developers, both nonprofit and for-profit, and we have different programs. And I'm meeting with our team every 2 weeks to look at how many approvals are being given each week and how fast are we building them. So this 114 million is a welcome boost to all the efforts that we are taking right now.
Hi, Premier. Matthew Bingley from Global News. Question around the TTC. The head of the TTC, Rick Leary, was talking about state of good repair. We've been hearing a lot about it, especially when it comes to the capital backlog. We've already seen one rail line in Scarborough fail with a derailment. There are concerns that that state of good repair isn't getting addressed, and there is growing alarm that there could be another calamity or even a cause for it to be shut down with the existing subway lines. What concerns do you have when it comes to the city's infrastructure being upkept, and is there anything more the city or the province could do outside of the New Deal?
Well, we always believe in working collaboratively with all cities, including Toronto. We have the largest transit project right now in North America. No matter if it's a new Scarborough subway or the Eglinton West line or the Ontario line or the Yonge extension, we're with the cooperation with the City of Toronto. We basically doubled the size of the subway for years. We all grew up with the 2 lines on the subway map. Now there's going to be a lot more stations, and we always want to work hand in hand helping any municipality, including Toronto, with their infrastructure.
I just wanted to ask about the Eglinton Crosstown. Phil Verster had promised that he would hold briefings every 2 months. They've been pretty infrequent off that schedule. The last one was in early December. Is there something that you'd like to say to Metrolinx or even a direction that you'd like to tell them to hold regular briefings for the people of Toronto on that line?
Yeah, I've mentioned it numerous times. You know, they're doing so well in every other area. You know, Eglinton West, for example, is 6 weeks ahead of time, on budget, ahead of schedule, and so are the other lines. So, you know, we have to get this, the other Eglinton line done. It's, to be very frank, it's frustrating, to say the least, but I'm confident that they're going to get it going. And number one priority is it's safe. We don't want to have the Ottawa situation that happened. You try to rush it, and well, I don't have to explain to you what happened out in Ottawa.
Steve Ryan.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Mr. Premier. Question for the mayor. Yep. 114 million is a lot of money. How will that affect those people that are living in tents off of Spadina and Front Street there? And what's your plans there?
We are investing heavily in this budget that we just approved. There are funds, more funds for drop-in centers, for warming centers, for respite center that's 24/7. Then many more shelters we have opened up. As you know, there are now 6,000 refugees in our shelter. Our shelter is sheltering 11,000 people, and it's full. What's encouraging is that the federal government have also stepped up after the Premier have produced, and the city signed a new deal. The new deal has substantial amount of money to invest in shelters and housing. And the federal government has also done that very recently. So what is happening is that working with Immigration Canada, we are housing some of those refugees in some of the hotel rooms. We are to create more shelter space for people that are in tents because weather is terrible. And we are through a program that the Ontario government have partnered with the city, and now the federal government have just joined. It's called the Canada-Ontario Housing Benefits. That program have produced over almost 2,000 people, moving them from shelters and tents into real homes. They actually permanent homes. That's worthy of celebration. And the federal government said, this is great. They too recently announced $20 million. So if you're looking at holistically, every levels of government coming together is a huge problem because we know in Ukraine, we expect quite a lot of the mom and the kids are coming in to Toronto. We expect that there be a continual flow. So we're opening our doors, our hearts, and government, sometimes the wallet, because we know that it takes them just a few months to get established here, find a good job, and then they get back on their feet.
Thank you. And I'll do a follow-up with you, if that's okay. What is your immediate reaction to the story about the TTC and the complaints or the deficiencies of the TTC that wasn't addressed, apparently? What were your
On the
thoughts?
SRT? Yeah. I know as we speak, the TTC board and the CEO, Rick Leary, are seized with this issue. It's important to assure riders that everything is safe. State of good repair is important, and TDC needs to be accountable. So I await a report that will come out of TDC today. Thank you.
Sean Jefford, CBC Toronto. Premier, question on that topic. Is the derailment of the SRT last summer and these new details we're hearing today about the warning signs really a symptom of government inaction and a failure of the province to plan for a replacement for the SRT while it built the Scarborough subway extension?
Oh, let's be fair. Don't be pointing the fingers on responsibility. TTC falls under the City of Toronto. We've invested more money into transit than any government right now in North America, and supporting building a new transit system to modernize the transit system that we've had, and pouring money into infrastructure as well. So, we had a plan when I was down here. You want to go down memory lane, we were building a Scarborough subway 10 years ago, and the province at the time, Liberal government, shot it down. We had the approval from council, we had the approval from the federal government, and unfortunately, they declined it. So now we're building a proper transit system for the people of Scarborough and all of Toronto.
And Premier, on another subject, your government's launched an ad campaign that appears intent on selling Ontarians on Ontario. Is that not a waste of money, and why do you need to do it?
Yeah, well, I think those ads are incredible. Like I said today in the House, I'm getting calls. I know a lot of people in the U.S. Someone landed in LAX, and all they saw are Ontario ads. Folks, we've become an economic powerhouse, and thanks to the support of the city that makes up a large chunk of our GDP. I think it's 25%, maybe higher even. But we've seen 700,000 new jobs come to the province. We've seen $28 billion of EV vehicles and auto sector be invested here in Ontario, close to $20 billion in the tech sector, $3 billion in life sciences. We're the envy of North America right now. We have to tell the world, and especially our largest trading partner, the U.S., if we were a standalone country, We'd be the U.S.'s third largest trading partner. We do approximately $460 billion of two-way trade. We're the number one trading partner to 19 states, number two to 9 other ones. We want to tell our largest trading partner south of the border, come and invest in Ontario. We've cut over $8 billion a burden off the backs of companies, making ourselves more competitive. We reduced electricity and energy costs by 15 to 17%. So it's very, very competitive around the world. We're winning these deals. We probably have close to $30 billion on the table. We haven't landed yet. But what this equals, it equals opportunities, prosperity, that people and companies can thrive and prosper in the greatest jurisdiction anywhere in the world, and that's called Ontario. We need to get our story out, and not only around the U.S., the reason we tell the story here in Toronto, we have 120 nationalities. We have over 200 languages being spoke, and guess what? Those 122 nationalities, or 20 nationalities, they tell their relatives, they tell their friends, they tell their business partners around the world. You know, right now, we're doing extremely well. And as I said, when I have the governors come up to pay me a visit, or senators, one of them said, "You're eating our lunch." My response is, we're going to eat your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, and dessert. So, you know, when you think of this, that thanks to the leadership of the mayor and other municipalities, we created more manufacturing jobs in Ontario than all 50 U.S. states combined. Think of that. More jobs in Ontario than all 50 states, manufacturing jobs in all 50 states combined. So we're blessed to live in an incredible jurisdiction like Ontario, and I'm just so proud of it. And we're telling the world, come and invest in Ontario. Best place to live, raise a family, start a business.
Alicia Hashem from the Toronto Star. If I could start with the mayor, I have a question about the commercial parking levy report that was released today by staff. Does this approach proposed by staff, the citywide two-tier downtown suburb approach, do what you hope it would do in terms of raising the amount of money that you've been looking for from this kind of levy? And are you concerned whether there will be support for this, particularly from suburban councillors who may not like that their businesses will have to be paying that extra money?
This levy is part of the long-term financial plan that came out last year. Remember in August, we had that special council meeting where I was faced with $1.5 to $1.8 billion shortfall. We had to enact a couple of immediate measures in order to counterbalance that, and of course the New Deal made it, make the situation a bit better. This is part of the long-term financial plan. It's a report that is going out to all the residents of Toronto for consultation. I look forward to hearing what people think about this parking levy and whether they believe it's something, whether it's too low, too high. I'm sure that people have different opinions. So I await the results of the consultation.
Thanks, Mayor. If I could also get the Premier's reaction to a commercial parking levy and whether that's the right direction for Toronto to be going in to fill some of the financial gaps that it has.
Well, again, I'm just going to repeat what I said. I never believe in telling any municipality what they should or shouldn't be doing. That's up to them. They understand their finances better than I do, and that's going to be up to the City of Toronto. And I'm sure the mayor and the council, they know what they're doing, so they'll be up to them.
Hi, Premier. Alison Jones with Canadian Press. I know you have your new deal with Toronto.
Yes.
I also know that since that was announced, a lot of other municipalities have spoken up asking for their own new deals. AMO is asking for something even bigger, a whole kind of rethink of the municipal-provincial relationship and talking about who pays for what, maybe reversing some of the downloading from the 90s. Is that a conversation you're prepared to have? Are you willing to entertain that at all?
Well, we've handed more money to the 444 municipalities than any government ever, no matter if it's healthcare or if it's infrastructure or other housing, making sure that we put more money into mental health. And there's a wide range, but we've poured money into municipalities. You know, Toronto is unique, like no other city in the country. And right now, after New York and LA, it's the third largest city in North America, growing rapidly. So they have a subway. No other region has a subway. You know, they have a lot of pressure on the policing side. And I want to thank the mayor for supporting the police budget as well. But we're always there for the municipalities. We're always going to be there to support them. And we have a few really good announcements coming up to support small rural municipalities and the larger municipalities.
Hi, Premier. Good afternoon. Barbara Patrocinio with Queen's Park Briefing. After you called Bonnie Crombie the queen of carbon tax, she countered saying that this is all a political stunt and that we're only afraid of losing the elections for her. So are you afraid of Bonnie Crombie?
No, not at all. I just need to know, is she for the carbon tax or against the carbon tax? You know, she was the queen of the carbon tax when she was in Ottawa. And it's proven when the energy costs go up, when gas goes up, inflation goes up. And it's been proven over and over again. And thank goodness we saw right now, we reduced 10.7 cents per liter off the gas pump. So that puts money back into people's pockets. We've also got rid of the tolls at the 412 and 418. The one fare is $1,600. So we just believe in a different methodology. Put money back in people's pockets. They're going to go out and do things they might otherwise not be able to do. Go for dinner, buy something, maybe put a little addition or renovation in their home. And that's what we believe in. But she has to come clean. The media asked her 10 times yesterday, are you for or against it? It's very simple. Either taking money out of people's pockets by the worst tax I've ever seen, or are you willing to put money back into people's pockets? That's a simple question. She needs to answer it, and she'll be held accountable. But make no mistake about it, she is the queen of the carbon tax.
Oliver Moore, the Globe and Mail. First question for the mayor. You talked about making the city affordable for people who are priced out, but the reality is that Toronto remains wildly unaffordable, even for people on a median income, much less people who are poor. Is it not true both that the numbers announced on housing starts is a big number and also that it's an infinitesimally small drop in a bucket?
When there's a crisis, every drop counts. And as I said earlier, there are 85,000 households waiting for affordable housing. This is rent geared to income. And 33,000 of them are seniors. And the wait now is anywhere between 10, 13, even 15 years. It's hard, it's tough. So in this year's budget, there will be thousands of units of rent geared to income built, and there will be rent subsidies so that through the housing benefits, as I talked about earlier, where we can house people into permanent homes. Is it enough? No. Can we do more? Absolutely. But you have to start. You have to build and build and build. Mixed income everywhere. Any kind of land you see on the executive committee agenda, you will see an item where it asks our staff to identify every piece of City of Toronto land that are near a subway or TTC area, high order traffic, right? So we identified all of those lands so that we could look at intensifying those lands, higher density, and we want to build and build. And I want to make sure that some of them are affordable. So, because not everybody can afford the regular rent. So there's always some people, whether they are disabled or They have young kids that are not able to work, or they're seniors. So we'll help those that need a hand also.
Second question for the Premier. We're talking about bringing this back to housing. We're talking about housing starts today. There's been some huffiness in the part of some cities, Windsor springs to mind, on using housing starts as the metric. They say that building permits should be the metric. Why is housing starts the right thing to measure here?
Well, first I'm going to answer the question that you asked the Mayor. Then I'm going to pass it over to my great Minister of Housing. He's done a spectacular job, Minister Calandra. Just going back to your question by the Mayor, if I had 444 municipalities hitting their targets over 51% that this Mayor has done, we wouldn't have a housing problem. We'd hit over 1.5 million homes. So all the folks out there, the mayors, the wardens, take a page out of Toronto's book. And some are exceeding that by quite a bit. And then other cities, one example stands out to me is Mississauga. They actually shrunk. How does the size of Mississauga shrunk? I'll tell you, the mayor failed. Bonnie Crombie failed, and she had the lowest housing starts in all of Ontario. That's unacceptable. We need everyone to continue building. Take a page out of the mayor's book here in Toronto, and over a number of years, we won't have these issues. So that's what I encourage everyone to do. Paul, over to you.
Yeah, thanks. It is a good question, and we've received it a lot from the big city mayors as well. Look, the BFF fund was originally and is continuously focused on the shovels in the ground, right? The housing that has been enabled to help us build to our 1.5 million home mark. There are going to be a number of other supports that are going to be in place for those communities that through no fault of their own. There are some in York Region, Windsor is another one, that don't have the water and wastewater infrastructure that is required. There is more help on the way for that, but as the mayor has said, this also helps. It recognizes those communities that have removed obstacles and that are getting things done quicker and faster so that we can get shovels in the ground, and it supports their ongoing efforts to remove those obstacles so that we get shovels in the ground faster. So this isn't a punishment for those cities that haven't been able to do that. It's a recognition of those that are doing it and helping them so that they can continue to do that and put more shovels in the ground. So as I said, really extraordinary work with Mayor Chow, her officials in not only removing obstacles now, but what we're seeing going forward.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Charlie Pinkerton of the Trillium. My questions, or at least first question, is for the Premier. Premier, in years past, you've been extremely critical of what you've deemed as cash for access fundraisers by other political parties. Yesterday, our outlet published reporting by my colleague Aidan Shamandi, who found that the vast majority of the over $27,000 that colleges and universities Minister Jill Dunlop raised for her PC Party Riding Association at a $900 a ticket event came from directors and executives of public college private partnership schools. How is this fundraiser not an example of the very thing that you have condemned so much in the past?
Well, I'm where I see this going with the federal government coming out of the blue and just annihilating that whole sector in one clean swoop, and hurting colleges and universities, and we're going to be coming out with, some support for those colleges and universities that have been hit. But again, we're pretty transparent right across the board. When it comes to any events, they're basically public. Anyone can come. It doesn't matter where they're from. But I can tell you one thing: no one can influence our government. No one can influence any minister at all. But thanks for that question.
Okay, I guess I'll just ask for clarity. So do you not see this as a cash for access event? And then just as a second question, it's actually for Minister Calandra. One of the MZOs that was issued recently to protect flight paths for hospitals, at least one development company is now lobbying to have it changed because proposals that they have to build housing might have to be adjusted. They won't be able to build as many homes. Could this MZO be changed to allow more homes to be built?
You answer the question?
Sure, as you know, the flight path, it's something that Transport Canada has identified, working with the City of Toronto Ministry of Health. We identified what the requirements were for the air ambulance to land at St. Mike's and the University Health Network sites. Those heights are reflected in the ministerial zoning order that I'm grateful for Mayor Chow and her team. They supported that. So no, we won't do anything that will interfere with ensuring the air ambulance has access to those hospitals and the emergency services that they provide. Thanks.
John McGrath, TVO. A question for the minister as well. The housing lobby groups Build, GTA, and the OHBA have today released a report arguing against the use of use it or lose it provisions, something you've talked about being a potential part of the next phase of the Housing Supply Action Plan. They are warning that there could be all sorts of unintended consequences to those kinds of policies. Is that still something you're considering as you go forward?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I've heard from municipalities across the province, frankly, that this has become a problem in some circumstances where water and wastewater allocations have been held up for many, many years. It is on those types of projects where we want to have a use it or lose it provision. So I was pretty clear that we were going to do that. Look, I recognize how important, obviously we're not going to build any homes if the home building industry doesn't come along with us doing it. But as I said, municipalities have identified this as a challenge in certain circumstances. We're working with Build and Ontario Home Builders, as well as with the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. We're having a meeting later on today, as a matter of fact, on this. But it is going to be something that we will definitely move forward with, because as we've seen across the province, we cannot hold back building and meeting our targets because of somebody not giving access to water and wastewater. So it is something we're moving forward with, absolutely.
And the BC Housing Minister was on a podcast this week where he said that they have moved as fast as they have in part, by drawing on the Housing Affordability Task Force report. I think a lot of observers have said that BC is going faster than the Ontario government is. I'm wondering if it's embarrassing at all that a BC New Democratic government has effectively outsourced research to you and is moving faster.
Look, as you see, today we have the City of Toronto, one of the first that have received a Building Faster Fund benefit because they have smashed through the targets. The reason that communities are smashing through those targets is because we brought in 4 additional Housing Supply Action Plan bills prior to this. We're seeing the highest level of purpose-built rental housing in the province's history. The housing starts over the last 3 years are also at their highest in many decades. We are bringing forward a 5th installment of the Housing Supply Action Plan, as the Premier mentioned in his remarks, next month. Which will be continue to be very, very aggressive so that we can not only meet our targets but exceed those targets. I'm very, very optimistic of what we're going to be accomplishing by working not only with the City of Toronto but our partners throughout the GTA and across Ontario to not only meet those goals but to smash those goals. They've said consistently that not only will we meet that target, we will exceed that target, and our plans will reflect how we're going to do that.
This will be the last reporter.
That's okay. Hi, Premier. Siobhan Morris, CTV News. I'm hoping you can help shed some light on a discrepancy here. So you have no problem with the 9.5% increase in the City of Toronto, or at least you don't want to talk about it. You say that cities know best, but your party is running attack ads focusing on Bonnie Crombie's time as mayor. She didn't have any tax increases near as high. So can you help me square that circle?
Well, let's just confirm that. Bonnie Crombie raised taxes the highest they've ever been in Mississauga. So let's just clear that. But she is running to be the Premier, and we need clear and decisive decision from her. Is she for taxing people? Is she for the carbon tax, or isn't she? I never dictated when she was mayor of Mississauga jacking up taxes, and I would never dictate to the City of Toronto or any other city how to run their financial situation. But when you step into the big leagues and you want to be the Premier of Ontario, you got to answer these questions and don't dodge and weave like she did the other day with the media. At the end of the day, we saw what the Liberals did to this province for 15 years. They absolutely destroyed it. They lost 300,000 jobs. Companies were leaving in the droves. We had hospital hallway health care. They built, 600 long-term care homes. We're building 30,000 long-term care homes, and we're building transit. And that's the difference between ourselves and the previous government that literally destroyed our province. Now we're prosperous in Ontario. We're thriving. People are moving forward. There's 700,000 more people working today. That wasn't working under the Liberal government. So people will have a decision in a couple of years, and it's going to be a very clear decision.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, Mayor.